Delivering good presentations is one of the most challenging things that we are asked to do. This screencast, the first of the series on presentations, will help you prepare for delivering presentations and allow you to focus on the key things that you need to consider when planning to present. This will enable you to deliver clear, coherent presentations with confidence. Skillful presenters make presenting look easy, and this can often be very discouraging when you first attempt to present your ideas to an audience. The truth is that many experienced presenters have honed their skills over the course of many presentations. What you see is the end result of careful preparation and practice, not just natural talent. They have learned how to plan sessions that result in the impact that they intend, because they are relevant and engaging for the audience. This is good news. It means that we can all learn to present in a skillful and engaging way. Thinking carefully about the content and the style of your presentation will allow you to feel more confident and allow you to successfully communicate with your audience. So you can present in a way that isn't just professional and clear, but also results in the learning or action that you want to achieve for your audience. Jerry Weissman, in his book Presenting to Win, describes 5 cardinal sins of presentations. First, he says, presentations often have no clear point or call to action. The presentation might be interesting, funny, informative, but if at the end of it the audience don't know what they should do next, then the presenter has wasted everyone's time. The next issue for Weissman is that there might be no audience benefit, that the presenter is presenting to further their own agenda and cannot identify how the audience will benefit from the information they are being provided with. Good presenters will engage the audience by making this benefit explicit. Another issue described by Weissman is that the presentation has no clear flow. This narrative structure allows the audience to make sense of the ideas being presented and how they are connected together. Without this flow, presentations will be muddled and open to misinterpretation. The next sin he describes is that the presentation is too detailed. This overwhelms the audience with information, making it difficult to identify the key messages from the rest of the background noise. The additional information might be too technical or just plain irrelevant. Finally, the presentation might be too long, losing audience attention and frustrating them with a lack of consideration for the value of their time. Rarely has anyone complained that a presentation was too short. Whilst these sins occur individually, they are often connected to one main flaw in preparation: the data dump. This haphazard arrangement of ideas and content happens when the presenter hasn't fully considered their key messages and the needs of their audience, and will result in what Weissman describes as migo, or mine eyes glaze over. Often this data dump is a result of starting to write a presentation without any real thought, opening PowerPoint and beginning to type one slide after another, which all too frequently ends up as a presentation that commits some or all of these sins. And often the presenter exacerbates this during the presentation by describing their material as boring or a necessary evil, or by undermining their own credibility because they feel nervous and uncomfortable. Failing to realise this not only gives the audience permission not to pay attention, but actually encourages them to disengage from the material. So before you start to plan your next presentation, stop and consider the following key questions that will help you collect your ideas and organise them coherently. A good starting point is to consider the question, why am I giving a presentation? Understanding the purpose will enable us to be more successful, so let's unpick that question a little further. We could express it as, what am I trying to achieve? Do we want our presentation to provoke discussion or persuade the audience to take specific actions? That purpose is not simply a matter of considering the final outcome of the presentation. In addition, the impression of ourselves that you leave people with is inextricably linked to the impact of our presentation. Presenting in the appropriate style will give our presentations more impact. This exhorts us to consider the impression we want to leave our audience with: approachable, professional, expert, friendly, collaborative, process-driven. Clearly this will depend on the purpose of our presentations. Which leads us to ask ourselves, what is my key message? If the audience are only left with one piece of information, what would I want that to be? And how can I ensure that this underpins my content? Finally, we should ask, Why am I delivering this presentation? Am I bringing a particular expertise or viewpoint to the delivery that the audience will find valuable? And how can I establish my credibility on this topic with an audience? Establishing our credentials early on in the presentation allows the audience to put some value to the content. Linking our credibility and experience to the content of our presentations will help make it clear to the audience the benefits of listening. Of course, our knowledge and experience are a strength when it comes to organising and describing our ideas, but they can also be a weakness. Chip and Dan Heath, in their book Made to Stick, describe a common problem when it comes to communication. They say, once we know something, we find it hard to imagine what it was like not to know it. Our knowledge has cursed us, and it becomes difficult for us to share our knowledge with others because we can't readily recreate our listeners' state of mind. Knowing the subject of our presentation is both a blessing and a curse. Our expertise becomes both a block to communication and also a reason for our audience not to identify with us. In the screencast on content, we will look at overcoming this curse of knowledge, but it also encourages us to consider the needs of our audience early in the preparation process. When thinking about your audience, there are a number of perspectives to consider. What are the likely levels of expertise in the audience? How can you use the expertise in the room? How can you ensure that you keep those with less expertise engaged and supported? Also, how can you engage with your audience? Are there opportunities for them to talk to each other or to respond to your questions, to reflect on key messages? How can you link your content to the context that they are working in? Can you use examples from the audience or the answers to some of your questions, or pre-presentation contact to make your material link clearly to their world? How can you manage their expectations of the information you provide? And that means, as Weissman explains, identifying for your audience the WIFI, or what's in it for you. As a presenter, have I made clear what's in it for you, the audience? Have I provided a clear description of that benefit? In the next screencast in this series, we'll look at how to assemble content for your presentation, carrying out brainstorming, successful editing, and overcoming the curse of knowledge.